Wendy Grossman. I'm a freelance writer. I've been covering technology, what I like to call the border wars between cyberspace and real life for the last 20 some odd years. I want to thank you all for braving the tube strike. With us tonight, we have Ken Cukier, who is the data editor of The Economist. And it says here that I copied this off The Economist, so if it's wrong, it's not really my fault. I did that once with Wikipedia, and somebody informed me that there was something wrong in his Wikipedia entry, and he'd never done any of the things it said. So I hope The Economist has a higher standard of accuracy. From 2007 to 2012, he was the Tokyo correspondent. Before that, the paper's technology correspondent in London, where his work focused on innovation, intellectual property, and internet governance. And if you go to the page, he's got this long history of great things, which I will skip over. He is the co-author of Big Data, A Revolution That Will Transform How We Live, Work, and Think with Victor Meyer-Schonberger. Came out last year. If you've heard of The Right to Be Forgotten, I think that it was Victor Meyer-Schonberger who suggested it. And we have Alan Patrick, who co-founded a company called Broadsight after a career consulting in and working for leading companies such as the BBC, British Telecom, AOL, Time Warner, NTL, and UPC, which I've never heard of.
Liberty Media.
Okay. I was eager to have Alan because I saw him speak at the Open Data Institute and about the dark side of open data. Daniel Smith is a researcher in the Web and Internet Science Research Group for Electronics and Computer Science at the University of Southampton. He works on personal data stores, which he will explain to you. Murray McCarthy, on his website page, he says he is a software developer, writer, hacker, and freedom fighter. He says he travels a lot, he does a lot of talks, he writes a lot, he uses Twitter and Facebook reluctantly, and he lives and dies by email. And he has, among other things, a project going called Mailpile, which aims to fix some of what's wrong with email. And he will explain why that relates to open data. That is because the notes for what I wanted to say are over here. We are the goal tonight is to talk mostly about big data, and it may be confusing to think about big data versus personal data versus open data, and I'm kind of hoping that Ken will maybe very briefly address the difference between those three things. I think of it as big data being just a lot of data, open data being data primarily about things, and personal data being primarily data about people that would be considered sensitive. Ken may have a better explanation than I do. There are obviously a lot of good uses for big data. I remember attending a talk by Peter Norbig, who is the director of research at Google, where he talked about a massive online course that he was involved in teaching. And he said one of the things that you could do with this, that you could never do as a traditional teacher, is take the answers to a particular question given by thousands of students, all in one offering of the course, and you could see where you could sort of debug the questions on the test, because you could see that you could look at patterns such as if the very smart students got the answer wrong consistently over thousands of students, then there was something wrong with the question, and you could go back and look at the question. Now, I can see that that is actually a good thing. I mean, how many times have you been someplace where somebody asked you a question and it was simply a bad question? Things like care data, which was in the news in the last couple of months. The basic idea behind care data is to use the NHS's amassed patient data to improve medical care. And one of the things about it that I hope Alan will talk a little bit about, not necessarily specifically care data, but it was a perfect worked example of how to lose the public trust. And if you don't have the public trust, then you're not going to get any of the benefits of big data, because what you're going to get is people refusing to give their data at all. And on that happy note, I'm going to let Ava talk a bit about Ava Pascoe, who is the founder of CyberSalon and founded the first internet cafe back in 1994, is going to talk a bit about the value of data, I believe.
Yes, I'm just going